Before we get into our business news and our number of the day, we have a special for you. We're speaking in studio with ZANU PF's spokesperson in South Africa. The Zimbabwean political impasse is far from over. As you would have seen yesterday, President Mugabe was expected to announce his resignation, but instead the 93-year-old, well, he's still Zimbabwe's legitimate leader, and that's what he said in his speech last night, that he said that he planned to preside over ZANU PF's Congress next month. Well, to find out a little bit more about that, I'm now joined by Kennedy Mandaza, who's ZANU PF's spokesperson. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you, and good evening to your viewers.
All right. Did your president take you by surprise last night?
We were not taken by surprise, although the majority of the people were taken by surprise. We were not aware of the discussion that had taken place behind doors with the command, and as a result, any other expectations that people had were informed by what they want to see on the ground. So ordinarily, the majority of the people expected the president to read a statement that would end by saying, "I am resigning," or stepping down, but it was never to be.
All right, so taking you back to the meeting that the Central Committee had, so your process had begun, that this event with the president was not on your agenda. You had agreed on a process going forward, and so that is what you're going to continue with.
True. The process that ZANU PF undertook is the process that is informed by what we want, what we seek to achieve as a party. And as a result, having seen and noted what the Zimbabwe Defense Forces had done, the intervention to mitigate the challenges that were in the party, we also found it prudent that we listen to the people and also act accordingly. And as a result, the Central Committee, informed by what had emerged from the Provincial Coordinating Committee meetings, which had been held on a Saturday, and advised the Central Committee to meet to discuss and deliberate on the issues that had been raised. Ordinarily, that is what they did and came up with the resolutions that were read by the Secretary for Legal Affairs and the Secretary for Information.
So, war veterans, Robert Mugabe spoke this morning, and I think he had a few words about Mr. Chinamasa perhaps not being on the same page, and I just wanted you to clear that up for us. But also, are you working with the war veterans? Are you working with the military? Are you working with the opposition? Or is ZANU PF going it alone at the moment?
The whole process is being done by ZANU PF. ZANU PF has the war veterans. Ordinarily, the war veterans brought about ZANU PF, and they are a vital cog in ZANU PF, and you know of the coinage that has come, the stockholders. So, and some of the members that are still holding offices in ZANU PF, they are members of the war veterans. So we cannot divorce the interest of the war veterans and their participation in the discourse of the party, as well as members of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. Some of them have a very long history with in the liberation struggle, together with the current president and the members of ZANU PF. So the interests that arose for the intervention is an interest that arose as a result of the ideals and aspirations that they had during the liberation struggle, which they think that for the past few years they've been trampled upon, and they thought that self-correcting was the nature of the game now.
All right, so President Mugabe had a deadline to midday today. He didn't resign, so you're going to the next stage now. Is it the chief whip or the speaker that's told in Parliament to start the impeachment process? Has he been approached, and is that process beginning? And I wonder at the same time, will you need some of the votes from the MDC?
As we speak right now, the process has started. The timeframes that were put by the Central Committee are going to be adhered to. But what is most important is that ZANU PF wants to make sure that they go through the legal route, following the dictates of the Constitution of ZANU PF as well as the dictates of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, to make sure that there is no loophole for people to use in future. So as we speak right now, having failed to submit or tender his resignation by midday today, The chief whip has already initiated, and a notice has already been put, which I think the people have been privy to see of the contents. And the members of parliament have been brought to the ZANU PF headquarters in Harare to be spoken to and advised of the course of action that has now started.
Will President Mugabe be president by the weekend, and will he preside over the ZANU PF Congress?
The time frame which is there is to make sure that all things being equal, the impeachment process should take at most 4 days according to what we had. So we are expecting that by then we would have had a smooth handover of power as we go into the new era in ZANU PF.
Okay, that's where we're going to have to leave it, unfortunately. We run out of time. But spokesperson for ZANU PF in South Africa, Mr. Kennedy Mandaza, thank you very much for your time, sir.
Well.